Good morning, everyone. I am a squirrel. I have too many hobbies, and this is a knit and chat where we are weaving together the fiber craft and one of my other hobbies. Today, we're going to be talking about oracle cards, which are kind of related to tarot cards, which I've talked about before. Thank you, co host Jackson. So, grab your project and a drink, and we will get started weaving it all together. Of course, as I say that, I realized okay, so I am working on my C2C Halloween blanket, and where I put my stitch marker for the pod, I realized was kind of like a bad spot to put it in the middle of a stitch. Okay, so we'll move that over there. That's probably not going to be a good spot for it, but I'll probably just move it again. Go over one, go in. That's what I'm doing. So, the problem with doing this pixel stitch wrong is I have to remember the way that I'm doing it, which is not. Oh, Jackson, taking my yarn. Which is not always very helpful because then I can't, like, if I was doing a normal stitch, I could just look up a tutorial. But I think that's about right. Okay, I also have my coffee with me. It is 1 early in the morning and 2 kind of a gloomy day here in Florida, so the light's gonna be a little dark. We'll call it atmospheric. It'll be fine. Oh, you can't see my candle. I do have a candle, but you can't see it. That's fine. We'll live. So, y'all know I need notes. So originally I did have more. Originally in this episode, I did have more information. I actually have a link to like a really good Robert M. Plastero article about different oracle cards and what they are in different oracle systems. But I think today, because I'm pretty tired, we are just going to kind of go through like the bare bones of what oracle cards are, and then I'm going to show you a lot of what oracle collection is that's sitting next to me here. So, oracle cards are cards that are used much in the way that tarot cards are used for divination, inspiration, meditation, all that kind of stuff. But unlike tarot cards, oracle cards don't really have a system, or if they do, they have a system that's like unique to that deck. And they're way more loosey goosey in how they're read, and just kind of the presentation of the cards vary wildly from deck to deck. Like here, conveniently, I have like this flower petals deck, which is super tiny. It's like almost the size of Matchbox. And then I also have the Halloween Oracle, which is huge and really chunky. It's like 3 times as big. And you can also see these two decks are very different themes. One is, light and springy and flowers. This one is Halloween themed. A little kitschy, but not terribly so. The other thing that varies between oracle decks, unlike tarot decks have to have the 72 cards, right? Because you have to have all your majors, all your minors, all your quartz. You can have more than that, like when people add in other cards, but you can't have less than that. Oracle decks are all different. I think every single deck I have has a different amount of cards. And so they're fun because they're like more personalized to the creator, I think, because the creator usually will pick a theme and kind of go off that. And you can get an oracle deck in pretty much any theme you want. So, like, I have flowers, I have moon, I have tea leaves, I have runes. I've seen ones that are like art themed. I've seen ones that are like the literary witches one is like obviously literature themed. I've seen a Jane Austen one. I've seen angel ones. Angel ones are really big, and there is a little bit of an aside that I did make notes about angel cards. And a lot of times, oracle decks that are only angels are often called angel cards. So if you see it in angel card reading, that's what it is. So angel cards were certainly not invented by, but they were definitely popularized by this author named Doreen Virtue. And she published tons of oracle and tarot decks that were, a lot of them were angel themed. And she said she wanted to have the power of tarot without like the scary parts of tarot. So, didn't have a death card, but it's like very uplifting images. She published tons of decks, made tons of money, honestly. And then in 2017, so I started reading tarot in 2016. So I kind of vaguely remember this, but I wasn't like big into a lot of the like social media of it all at the time. But I do remember this kind of happening and people talking about it. Mostly just because her decks were starting to become hard to find, so people were talking about it. So in 2017, Doreen Virtue found Jesus, and she disavowed all of her creations that she made. She said they were works of the devil, and I'm pretty sure had them all taken off the market or like pulled the rights of them. They're all off her website. And she used to like have this really new agey podcast that she had. And she would be on a lot of podcasts talking about angels, and that was her thing. Her thing was really angels. So angels, connecting with angels, all of that. And yeah, she completely scrubbed all that off the internet, which is kind of impressive that she managed to scrub everything so thoroughly. So yeah, if you're looking for angel cards and you see Doreen Virtue show up, well, one, now her cards are very hard to find because they're no longer being produced, and also, I don't know, I don't tend to like to support people who make literal buttloads of money off of the community and then turn around and say the community's evil. That just seems like a little, has a bad taste in my mouth. But that is just me, and you can certainly find tons of other oracle cards out there. I will say I tend to find oracle cards tend to be a little more on like the new age hippie kind of side of things. They have a very distinct vibe. So I'm very selective in the oracle cards that I have, and I'm selective in all my decks, but I find that sometimes there's a lot of oracle cards and they just kind of start talking about things that I don't necessarily jive with, like twin flames, for example, or the Akashic records, and things that are very, well, you can't see him, but co-host Jackson is over here and right in my light, so he's decided that you don't need to see my face for this. That's fine, we don't need light. Alright. So with our Jackson Approved mood lighting. We are going to start to take a dive into some of these decks, which probably means I will not get as much crochet done as I would like during this session, but okay. So I did have them kind of organized. So first I'm going to talk about so let's start with these three. So we have The Halloween Oracle by Stacey DeMarco, Woodland Wardens by Jessica Rue, R-O-U-X, so I'm pretty sure that's Rue, and Flower Petals by Carolyn Darcy. So you can see we have very different themes, but the thing that these all kind of have in common is, okay, so this one's like Eternal Love. We have a big picture, and then there's a little saying. So this one says, love is love is love, and it transcends physical death. So all of these cards, and then some of them are more simple. So like the Mummy change. So it has the picture, it has what the card is called, and then it has like a little kind of like key word that kind of jogs your memory. And then of course comes with a deck, which gives more information on each card and kind of reading, how to read it, reading tips, etc. So, Woodland Wardens. Yeah, so this one's nice because it has a plant and an animal for every card. These ones are numbered. Halloween Oracle is not numbered, which kind of makes it drag to look through the guidebook. So like this one is the crow and dogwood, which is intelligence. So if you were reading this very intuitively, you know, you pull a card, you're asking for guidance on something, wisdom comes up, you can dig deeper into it, or you can go into the guidebook, or you can just kind of start jotting down notes. This is the turtle and coriander for satisfaction. And this one, I do believe the guidebook has explanations for the animal and plant pairing. I really like this deck. Now that we're getting towards the spring equinox, I'm probably going to be pulling out this deck and using it a lot more. It feels very springy to me. And then we have the flower petal, which this has, you know, smaller picture, more text. So like this one is violet. So this one has the picture, the name of the plant, the scientific name, and then kind of a little thought. So for example, this is violet, Violetus sornea, answers and truths are always within. This one does not have a guidebook. The guidebook is kind of like on the cards because it gives you a thought to use. Just like tarot, you can use oracle cards. You can use them in spreads. You can use them as standalone, just like ask a question and pull, or card of the day and pull, for standalone journal prompts, stuff like that. The ones like the flower petal deck, I would probably use as just like one card to pull at a time, just because it has like so much textual information on the card. Whereas the cards with more visual information, sometimes I'll pull more than one. So that's kind of like what a lot of people think of when they think of oracles. Then we have this subset of oracle cards, which are, they're cards, but they're based off other divinatory practices. So I only have two of these. The magnet on this box is so hard. So I can't get them all out. Oh, no. So these are the consult cards. And they are based on, let me double check. Yeah, so this is the Two Penny Oracle by Madame Clara. Yeah, okay. So these are based on the concepts of phrenology, which is one defunct. Phrenology is when they would go over the bumps on your head. I'm sure you've seen the bust with like the different areas of the head mapped out. So terrible, but also like really led to some very bad things. But I do like these cards. So these cards have a keyword and then 3 words around it. So this is matrimony, that's monogamy, loveliness, and sacrifice. This one is inhabitiveness, so invocation, reclusiveness, monism. And because these are circular cards, like when you're putting them out in a spread, kind of like the areas that are next to each other would be talking to each other. And this has a whole guidebook, and it's a whole system. So honestly, every time I use these, I do have to kind of reacquaint myself with this system. But it's a very cool deck if you can find it. I think Madame Clara is on Etsy. And then this is the Tamed Wild Runes deck, which is almost... Yes, okay. These are almost like flashcards because they have the rune on the front, and then on the back there's the symbol, the name, associations, charge, little history, associated chakras, elements, tarot cards, and yeah, there's a lot of information on the back. But if you are traveling and you don't want to bring your runes, a deck of cards with all the runes on them, you can pull these. You can't throw them, obviously, like you would actual runes, but you can pull them in spreads like you would with runes, or you can, all of oracle cards you can use, obviously, with tarot. It's actually kind of one of the ways I like to work with them, is to add to a tarot spread, which I'll... because I put the cards in the deck box the wrong way. Then I have oracle decks that have their own system but are kind of tarot-ish in system. This one's Cosmic Visions by James R. Eads. So this one, okay, yeah, so like his other tarot decks, we have these that are kind of like Major Arcana, and then we have suits that go from 1 to 10. So Embers, Lotus, etc. So these feel very much like a tarot deck. but obviously they are not. They are an oracle deck, and he has his own, system that he has come up with for this deck. Another one that's like this is the Spirit de la Luna. I love this deck. I think this is like my first oracle deck, and I use it so much, I love it so much. But this one has, it has like all the moons, and then it'll say what it is, awaiting crescent and boundaries, and then this one's Earth. We have all of the zodiac signs. So this is Virgo, the healer. And then we have the different moons. So, for example, this one is the seed moon for new growth. I do love a round deck, and what I like about round decks is because they're round, when you're laying them out, like I said before, like you can kind of see where the energy is like pulling the card, which I think is very fun, especially if you're using a deck like this with, like, say you pull like three or four tarot cards, and then you pull an oracle card to kind of like sum up. You can kind of see like where that energy is being pulled to, so like which tarot card is being pulled by that energy, which is a fun way to use them. And then I have the Wild Unknown out. I have 3 Wild Unknown oracle decks. These are all the mass market ones. This is the alchemy deck, so it is all alchemical concepts. So like that one's Quicksilver, then there's Silver, Magnum Opus. This honestly probably could have gone in with decks that are kind of like other divination systems. They have all the planets. So this one's Neptune, and she does have a whole book explaining all of the alchemical concepts that go with all these cards. This is also the only deck that I have that is this shape. It is a septic, 6. It's not a hexagon. Not a septagon. I can't remember what 6, but it's 6-sided. And that one also has like some of the cards, like I think like the plants are more like, or the planets and the elements are like more like major, more like minors, and then like the Great Opus more like majors. This one is the Archetypes deck. This one has less of a system to it. It's just very much the world, or the womb. So we have a picture. This one's Thanos. The Threshold. I believe she took the archetypes from like works like Hero of 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell, stuff like that. These are really well put together decks. And then her simplest one is the Animal Spirit, which this one does have a guidebook. And again, we're going back to Cheetah. This one has so like that's fire, the symbol on top. So it's like you pull like say you pull Sword, you pull Cheetah. What does Cheetah mean to you? It means like, I mean, they're fast, they're quick, they're cats, they're predators. kind of like word association with yourself. Sharks. And that's such a derpy shark. But they live in the water. Again, they're predators. Some are fast, some are slow. They're feared. Maybe it's talking to you about fears that you have that may not be the most rational. Since, more people die in car accidents than in shark attacks every year. So, I've talked a little bit about how to use oracle cards, and certainly you can use them just like you would tarot cards in a spread. Pull one card, meditate on it. The way I like to use them most is with tarot cards. So there's a channel here called The Truth and Story, and she has this, she's very big on using tarot cards with other things like charm casting or oracle. And she has a spread, a reading that she does that I really like called the Three Voices reading, where you start with Lenormand, which is another, you start with like a 9x9 spread of Lenormand cards, and then you do tarot cards on either side, and then you do oracle cards. And the way she thinks of it, kind of the way I think of it, is Lenormand is like very quick, like almost like a yes-no answer. And then tarot goes a little bit deeper, and then oracle goes a little deeper. So, when you have a tarot card, like, you have all the associations. Like the Fool is the Fool. It's like new beginnings, and then also like maybe being a little reckless, a little foolish, learning, being young. That's all in the Fool, right? Whereas, like I said, like with the Cheetah, I can kind of like spiral off into different associations. And so then when you're working with a tarot card, you have like how all the tarot cards are like talking to each other, and then you also have the oracle card. Now the oracle card is like kind of summing it all up and going a little bit deeper. Or another way you can kind of think about it, I know a lot of people like to do, is like the tarot cards are like more kind of your cognitive ability and like what you're really focused and thinking about, and like the very intellectual side. And then the oracle is, because there's so many images, and most oracle cards are just like an image, it accesses that other part of your brain that's dealing with images and art and all of that kind of thing. Which is funny because we talk a lot about that in one of my marketing classes, where it's called dual coding, where you have an image and a picture and you show them together all the time. So you're conditioning people to like associate the image and your brand name together. By the way, I have a pistachio latte because I'm just obsessed with pistachio lattes, and I also have a bubbly that I've not cracked open. We're not at the height of luxury yet because I only have 2 drinks near me, but we're getting there. I did have to check my notes. Oh, there's one deck I didn't talk about. We'll talk about that, and then I'll kind of go back to the thought that I had. So this is the 8 At an Evoke Wisdom Oracle. This is 2nd edition. I do also have the 1st edition, but I pulled out just the 2nd one. These are based on, so in Judaism, we have a section of Judaism called Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, which is very misunderstood. But in that we have a tradition of having a feminine aspect of God and a masculine aspect of God. So this deck is all the different names of the feminine version of God. and they kind of have three different groups. So there's lover, mother, queen, wise woman, maiden. So this one is Nara. It's maiden, revel in the joy of being. So they all have a picture. They have the name, the Hebrew in Hebrew and in English, and then the photo. So this one is it at, which is there-ness or you. Expand your interpretation. And the reason why I bring this up is because this is basically deity work, right? So if you are working with a deity, and you can find an oracle deck that works with that deity, and this is gonna be more common for, like, I know I've seen like Norse and Greek, a lot of Greek and Roman ones, but when you're working with deities, you can pull a card out, especially if you're traveling. You can pull out that deity's card to, like, use for, like, your travel altar. It's a little less conspicuous than a whole statue. If you're working with a particular deity on a spell or something, you can, if you're doing a tarot spell, you can also pull out that deity. If you know, like, kind of what pantheon you're in, but you're not sure who exactly might be talking to you, pulling deity cards can help. Kind of. And, if you work with deities or the Fae, they communicate in lots of ways, but this is kind of another way you could explore of working with deity. Or, like I said, or Fae, or angel, whatever energy, whatever you're trying to do. Oracle cards can be very, very great for that. I don't really have any, like, actual, like, deity oracle decks or a trade one, but there's tons. Even just going, like, obviously support your local metaphysical witchy store, but even just going into Barnes and Nobles and, like, their New Age section, or, like, transformation, whatever we're calling it, you can find both tarot decks and oracle decks, and just kind of, you can't open them, obviously, but you can, like, poke around and see what's there. Okay, so I know this wasn't as research heavy as, like, my tarot videos, but hopefully you still got some value out of it. Maybe some different thoughts if you have or have not worked with oracle decks, or if I do know that some people feel that oracle decks are very like frou-frou, and some of them can be, and some of them can have hit pretty hard, just like tarot. I've definitely been told about myself by an oracle deck here or there. And like I said, they're just different ways of engaging with cartomancy. It's a different style of cartomancy. It's definitely more approachable because you don't have to, like, sit there and memorize, like, a million. Like, I feel like tarot has a pretty high, like, barrier to entry for a lot of people. Like, it can feel a lot like, oh, you have to, like, sit down and memorize this entire stack of cards before you can begin to read it. Whereas oracle, it's like, no, the card tells you, or it's a picture, or just, just go with vibes. No thoughts, just vibes. And for different parts of your life and in different ways, that can be really helpful. I did manage to get a little bit of crochet done. Not as much as I normally do during these videos, but this is also a shorter one. So hopefully this little kind of dip the toes into the pool of Oracle was like interesting, or got you thinking, or got you maybe like looking at some decks that you might not think to look at in starting your cartomancy journey. Because as we know, cartomancy is a huge field that covers, it's like saying knitting or crochet. It's like, okay, well, like what kind of knitting? You can do Fair Isle, you can do color work. Well, Fair Isle is color work. You can do cables. If you're doing crochet, you can do blankets, you can do amigurumi, you can do garments, tons of different stitches and like regional variances. And cartomancy is kind of the same way. There's tons of different variances and regional differences and kind of different traditions that have popped up over the years. And also Oracle, like, while there is a history of like a tradition of Oracle cards, because each deck is so different and so unique, especially in today's market, there's just tons with lots of variants and like their own systems and stuff like that. You kind of have to take each deck as it is. Like if I'm looking at tarot decks and I see one is like a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, that gives me a lot of information about it and like kind of what kind of themes and like vibe I'm going to get from the deck. But if I'm looking at an Oracle deck, it's like, oh, I have to like really think about or really look at each card and kind of take it as it is and take like the guidebook as it is and what the author is saying as it is. And then I also think there's more room for, like I've said, that kind of free form idea with Oracle. I might pull the same Oracle card like 100 times and I might see something different in it every single time, even though there are keywords. Okay. So let me know in the comments. Do you like Oracle cards? Do you hate Oracle cards? Have you ever used them? Why or why not? All the good stuff we can talk about. If you have no interest in cartomancy, thank you for staying to the end of the video. Hopefully you got something out of it, even if it's just watching me struggle on this project. A little bit of channel admin stuff at the end here. You might have noticed there was no video last week. That's because I filmed it in the morning, like I'm doing now, and then life kind of fell apart, and I did not have the brain space to edit it. So I am probably going to still edit and release the video. It was a podcast episode. And I'm going to try and get up before the next podcast episode, honestly, just for continuity sake. I get to do something very fun. I get to decrease again. This has been the most fun about this, is doing the decreases. It's magic, I tell you. Yeah, so hopefully you'll see 2 videos this week, both this one and the podcast episode, and then next week should be another podcast episode, and I will be on spring break, so that'll be just great for me. honestly. School's been pretty rough right now, so I'm looking forward to having the break. And then the next knit and chat after the podcast should be everything I've been reading for the quarter. Which hopefully isn't too bad. Because honestly, with kind of a lot of life stuff going on, I have not been reading a lot. So, I do have some books to talk about. So, with that, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and you do something that makes you happy, whether it's knitting a little bit, or talking about a hobby, or honestly pulling an oracle card. Oh, okay, so I didn't pull a tarot card at the beginning. I know I've been showing a lot of oracle cards, but like let's pull an oracle card as kind of like a bonus to wrap up this video. Okay, I'm gonna use the Woodland Wardens because I forget how much I like this one. Okay, nice shuffle. Big breath. And what is our energy for the day going forward today going to be? So this is the Bear and Cedar, which is leadership. So maybe find a way to lead in your life and to enrich yourself. Just for fun, see what the book says. This is number 9. Bring that mama bear energy into your world. Some leadership. Okay. So, the Bear and Cedar calls us to be powerful but benevolent, embodying the qualities of a great leader. Bears are emperors of the woodland and guardians of the forest. Paired with cedar, a plant known for its healing, protective, and cleansing properties, this card invites us into mature authority. Yeah, so don't go ripping everyone's sides off, but also channel the mama bear energy or papa bear energy, or they them parent energy. This is the problem with they them pronouns, is you have to like then pick, like, it's like if the options are like mom or dad, it's like, okay, well then I have to pick. Though to be fair, mom energy and dad energy are two different energies. So pull the one that calls to you today into your life. Even if it's just wrangling all of your whips into submission. That's leadership energy, right? Okay, I'm going to probably finish my coffee and run to school because I have to I have 2 classes today. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day. And I do have a group project I'm doing in one of my classes, so maybe that's where I'll need that leadership energy today. Alright, and with that, have a great rest of your day. See you next time. Bye.